out of the straw, and then you get maximum flow, right? It just makes sense. It's gonna be faster.
A good example would be like if you have the tire of your car or your bicycle, and you push that little pippy down, that is the core, the valve core. If you push it down, it's spring loaded, you wait, and you wait, and you wait. But if you get that little tool and you take it out completely, swoosh, that tire is flat in no time.
Yep.
It's the same concept.
Okay. And this is the tool to do it. So this is a valve core removal tool. And you can kind of see, and you guys will come up a little bit closer in a little bit, but it's got little teeth in here. So what we're doing is we put it up into that fitting, into the opening of the unit, and we basically unscrew it, remove that valve core out, shut the valve, and then we would open up this side. We could put our hose onto here, open it back up, and then when we go and turn on the vacuum machine, we're pulling vacuum, right? And that valve core is out of the way.
How cool is that?
So, something we do different than everybody else too. Usually, if you're doing standard systems and then you're doing mini splits, you need two of these, right? Because you have a 1/4 and a 5/16 sizes to pull out your valves. 5/16 on the mini splits. Navac, 2-in-1, right? So you can actually have one tool that does both. We have two fittings on here. You pop off the other end and you will have your 5/16. And then on this side, you got your 1/4. So you're good. So again, saving you guys money, less tools to keep in the bag, right? You just have one, you're good to go. Typically, guys will usually carry 2 to 3 of these on them, depending on what the job is. But that is the key to a faster recovery for starters.
Typically, what kind of price are we talking about for the device like that at retail?
80 bucks, okay. Something like that, yeah. Yeah.
Well, we have a few of those and we've done them, but do you have any trick to make sure that when you go in to pick that core out, that it fits it and holds on to it? What we've had to do is to experiment first. Go in, take the core out, go in and make sure it'll not just pick it, but hold on to it. Because the secret is to hold on to that device as it comes through the device and you see at the end. So
magnetized.
It's completely magnetized. That's your main trick?
Yeah, so you feel it loosen. Yeah. You'll feel it loosen and you'll actually feel a pop. So when it comes off, and then from there, we've never had an issue because ours are magnetized, that usually you're holding it, yeah. So, and then also we have other guys that when they do that, they'll put a micron gauge on here and then they'll get a reading on the micron gauge if they're getting any pressure coming out or not too. That's another way that I've been told that some guys do it, but yeah. So, in doing that, and then like I said, the next phase, using as big a hose as possible, right? So we make hoses 1/2 inch, 2 CFM rated. So on a guy like this and a guy like this, you put a 2 CFM hose on both of these guys, guess how much CFM they're both pulling, even though that this is an 8 CFM and this is a 2 CFM. Hose is rated for 2 CFM, you're getting 2 CFM.
If your house is on fire and the fire brigade shows up, they don't take out a garden hose to put the fire out. They got big bloody hoses. Why? More flow. Same thing here.
Exactly. So that's where I get in these conversations with contractors all the time when they tell me, well, I got my 10 CFM, I'm good, right? It's like, well, kind of. What hose are you using, right? So what we do though, if we want to maximize some of our flow rate, a lot of guys, and this happens usually more on commercial and large refrigeration, when you go to the larger size pumps, even on this 4 CFM, I got a couple of guys that will double up on their hoses. So it's 4 CFM rated, we use 2 CFM hoses. We're actually maximizing this to where it needs to be. We're pulling 4 CFM out of this guy, right? And when we do that, if we were to do that like on that same residential unit system, that 5-ton, it took us maybe 7-8 minutes with this guy with 1 hose, 2 CFM. We could do this in about 2-3 minutes, be under 500 microns, like that, all right?
Why would you care? Tell me. Why do you care if it takes 2 minutes as opposed to 5?
Because time is money.
Time is money. You know? Time is money.
Exactly. So going over the pumps themselves and what you're looking at. So I gave you the background on us, being our bread and butter is in vacuum pumps. We do everything from a 2 CFM, and just recently I customized a 38 CFM vacuum pump for somebody out in Stockton. So we make custom builds as large as you need to do it. So what we're looking at though, and we're looking at a 2 and a 4 CFM. These obviously look a little bit different. They're battery operated. We're the first to market to ever do it. Why is that important? You're doing a residential job, units on the roof, and you have to carry, typically the normal weight of a vacuum pump is roughly about 35 pounds. You got to carry that up, then you got to run a line, and then you got to get it plugged in and do everything like that. This guy, battery pops off, comes in a little bag, put it, carry it up, boom, you're set. Don't need to run power, you don't need to do any of that. Super light, this guy, 12 pounds, as opposed to 35 pounds. Our 4 CFM, battery operated, this is 15 pounds. Still, we're cutting off of that 35 pounds, right? So carrying that up on a roof. First question I always get, oh, well, that's great. Battery dies, what happens to my vacuum? We have built-in shut-off valves on all of our vacuum pumps. You lose power on any of these guys, including our corded versions, there's a valve in there, it shuts and holds your vacuum. So, and you'll see that on your micron gauge as you're pulling vacuum. This battery dies and it goes out, it'll stop itself, hold the valve, your micron gauge will stop, you'll still have that same reading. Pop on the new battery or go charge this one up in about 15 minutes and you're right back where you left off.
15 minutes?
So, and that's a big deal because a lot of other manufacturers, you lose power on a job site if you have a regular corded version and you know the guy doing work in the other room goes, oh, I need to plug in my phone, and he unplugs your vacuum pump, you just lost all that vacuum basically, and you're gonna have to start over again, dehydrating the unit, right?
And sometimes, depending on the job site, there may not be power available.
Nope. Yep.
Okay, we assume there's always going to be power, not the case, especially in new construction.
Yep. So we only make our battery operated in a 2 and a 4 CFM. So this is really gonna be geared towards your residential guys. Maybe a little bit of light commercial, depends on the jobs that you're doing. But this has been a big go-to, plus the price point of what these cost, as opposed to getting one that's corded and weighted and all that, it is not a big difference, right? So on top of that, we do make standard corded vacuum pumps. This is our 4 CFM, and you can see the difference between a 4 battery and a 4 corded. It's a big difference in size and weight. This is a great vacuum pump, but basically Navac just again wants to give you a better, best option when you're trying to decide on the pump that you need, right?
Guys, it's like the equivalent of a cordless drill.
Yep.
In the old days, when I was a youngster, there was no such thing. We had to find power, and we were working somewhere. You had to make sure you got an extension cord and plug it in. Today, no one does that. So why shouldn't we do it with these kind of tools? So this is a company that's doing it with these kind of, could you imagine using a corded screwdriver today on a job? You wouldn't even think of it. So this is where we go, we're making progress. We're getting out of the dark ages here, guys. It's a big deal, this.
So on all of these units here, when we're pulling vacuum, typically we want 2 vacuum gauges, right? We want one on the unit and then one on the vacuum pump. You're gonna get 2 readings, somewhere between there. You're gonna be as accurate as possible to figure out exactly what vacuum you're pulling. So we've got ours that would lock on to our units and we'd be getting our reading here. These aren't necessarily cheap. They can run anywhere on the cheaper side from $60, and then you could spend a couple hundred on these easily on your vacuum gauges if you want a nice one. What Navac decided to do is to make a premium level vacuum pump where you didn't have to do that. And that's this guy here. And you'll see micron gauge built into the vacuum pump already itself. So you've got it here. You don't have to buy the extra tool. You don't have to carry it around. You don't have to latch it on. And then you can put your other micron gauge that you bought. You go put that at a unit and you're saving money. Now this isn't the cheapest vacuum pump on the market at all, but you use it a couple times and you've already saved basically. So, and then this is our 8 CFM. We do that on usually our 6 up to our 12 CFM models. You can buy it with the micron gauge built in. So again, we're giving you more options. You can go without the micron gauge built in and still go with your handhelds and connectors, or you can just buy it built into the machine already. Just depends on you, where you want to spend the money at, right? Speaking on micron gauges, we just launched this guy. So usually these are battery operated. It's another thing that tends to fail in the field almost all the time, and I hear about it a lot. USB charging is what we went to. Forget the battery. Put this in your truck while you're on the way to the job. You know you're going to be pulling vacuum. Charge it up. You're good to go. It'll give you 3-hour runtime at least. And even if it goes out, you plug this in, I think it's like less than 5 minutes, it's fully charged. So, yeah, so that just came out, so.
Why'd they put those batteries in our phones, you know?
Oh, yeah, that'd be nice.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
Is that the other vacuum pumps?
Yeah, so any of them. And then even when you open up, I've got the bag, so even if it doesn't fit on different size ports, we have adapters that come in it. So when you buy this guy, you get a bunch of different adapters for your different sizes. So yeah, again, thinking about, you know, what's gonna happen in the field, trying to get you guys covered fully. So that's really the range of vacuum pumps. Like I said, we go up to all the way custom build. So if you're getting into large refrigeration, we do all that as well. We have them so big that they actually come on dollies like this. That's how we ship them, because you can't carry them. That's how big they come. So very much our bread and butter. And then besides that, so when we get into some of our accessorized tools, again, we're always thinking about doing things a little bit differently. So digital torque wrenches, you guys have probably seen them before, heard about them. These are extremely important, especially on mini splits. Why? Mini splits are very specific. I've been a rep of a few different mini split lines. Their spec on their torques, when they mean it needs to be at this point, they mean that. Right? That you can't screw around with it. But these guys, you set it exactly where you want it to be while you're cranking it down and you're getting the torque on that spec. It'll give you a vibration, you're getting close, another vibration, you're getting closer, beep, vibration, stop. You're good. You're exactly where you want it to be, right?
Damn.
So old school, guy used to go, yeah, that's good. You know, that's how it used to be. And then you get your systems not running properly. And like I said, as we get into more of a mini split market and we're